Welcome back. I'm Sinura Wahalathanthri and I'm here with my 50th video from the eShop web project development series. So in this video we'll be talking about the selling history page validation part. So in the selling history page, the validation part that we are going to do over here. So here there are some functions as search by invoice ID, then find from the date to the to date. Then I can give my actual invoice ID until the product, buyer, amount, quantity. Then I can change my status of it. So first to do our status, before we do our status, we should do our search by invoice ID. So now let's check how much invoice IDs do we have. So now in this page y'all can see only 10. Now when I go to my next page, y'all can see that there are 16 invoice IDs. So I will give 1, so then the first invoice ID will come. Then when I give 2, the second one will come. Then 23rd, there is no 23rd. Then when I give 16, the 16 will come. Like that, I can change my invoice IDs. Then, wait, I will give Ctrl+Shift+R. Then from the from date for the to date. Then first we should go to our database and check in our invoice. So when I go to my invoice, you all can see the first product was added in the 4th and I will go until this 8th. So 4th to 17th. Now when I go to my the Chrome and give, it goes in the month, date, year format. So when I go to the 11th month, 4th and to date, 11th month, 17th. Then when I give find, the products that has to that to date until from date to that to date will come. Now when I give 17 to 22 or 23rd, the products that I have with that way will come. So in to do our this part, that means the invoice IDs and product, buyer, amount, quantity. So I will be talking about them in the backend code because it's not a thing that we can talk in the virtual one. So we need to go to our backend code to talk about this. So but in this, I can confirm orders and this. So first I will Ctrl+Shift+R. Then in my first page, there is nothing to confirm the order. Then when I go to my next page, there are stuff to confirm the order. So over here, y'all can see that there are 4 products. So this is 11 until 50. So now let's go and check in our database. So 11 to 15, all are in the status of 0. Now when I go to this one and give confirm order, it will go to packing. So when I click 2 times, it will be dispatched. And when I click 3 times, it will be shipping. Then when I give shipping and finish it, then it's delivered and that's finished. Then I can give this also. Because this is already delivered, I can't give another thing because delivered is finished of that invoice or the product. So that is it for this virtual, that means the showing of this selling history page. So now let's go to our backend code and check. Now first we'll be going to our selling history.php. Then first step is require connection.php. Then the second step is to the search by invoice ID. For the input field, I have given an ID as search text and an on key up as search invoice ID. Then for the from date and to date, I have given ID from and ID to. Then on click says find sellings. So first we'll be talking about this and let's go to this because when we talk about this stuff, it will be easier in the search invoice ID process and the find selling process. So first this query as a select all from invoice. Then when we go down, y'all can see the nums of this as the invoice num. Then when we go down, the selected data. Then when we go down, y'all can see that I have echoed the selected data ID. Then for the product, I need to have a product over here. So we don't have a product in our invoice. So we are gonna take a table as select all from product where the ID is equal to the selected data product ID. Then I have fetched as of the data. Then I have given the title from the product data. Then the users selected data of the email of the user email. Then the F name of it. Then total quantity. Then for the statuses. So for the statuses, what I have done is the same thing what I have done. What I have been doing in my blog process, but something different, totally different. So if I tell it totally, it's wrong, but it is something of a different type of that. So that is like a prototype of this. Now over here, y'all can see that the change status. So over here, what I have done is if this selected data status is equal to the 0, then BTN success, then on click change status. Then I have given some IDs for this as BTN selected data ID, then confirm order. Then if the status is 1, it should be BTN info, the same on clicks and the IDs, and but the title should be packing. So like that, if the 2, it should be warning and dispatch. If it's 3, it should be primary and shipping. If it's 4, it should be I will give danger, and delivered. So that is simple. Then when you go down these stuff, you all know these stuff. So if you all don't know, you can just take a quick screenshot of it like this. So this is the page animations. Yeah, so like this, and this. That is it. Then when you go to our script.js, first we'll talk about the for the change status ID. So over here, change status and inside that ID. Then over here, what I have done is r.onReadyStateChange function, and if r.readyState 4, the var t should be r.response text, and if it should be if the t is equal to the 1, the inner HTML should be packing. Then if it's packing, it should be class list as BTN info FW pole MT1 MB1. Then if it's 2, dispatch and BTN warning. If it's 3, it should be shipping, it should be BTN primary. Then if it's 4, it should be delivered and it should be danger. Then over here, if it all don't happen, it should be else. So it's that's even simple. So when you go to the r.open method, it goes to the get, and it goes to the change invoice status process.php, and while sending it, I have sent the ID, and it's equals to the plus ID, and it should go in the through. Then in our over here, so for this I have used change invoice process. So it's over here. Then over here, what I have done is if the first step is require connection, then only the other stuff will happen. So this is even a simple process of the invoice rs as select all from invoice where the ID is equal to the invoice data, invoice ID, then the invoice data from the fetch as of, then the $status ID as the invoice data status, and $new status is 0. So now you all want to understand why is it 0. So now when you go down, if the status ID is 0, it should be updated of the invoice table and set the status to the 1 where the ID is equal to the invoice ID. Then the new status should be 1. Then if it's 1, it should be changed to 2, and the new status should be 2. So if you click on top of the 2, it should be changed to 3, and the new status also should be changed to 3. Then if it's 3, 4, 4, like that. Then if it happens, echo the $new status. Then only this will happen. Now for our selling history page, search by invoice ID. So for this, I told you the ID and the on key up. Now let's see our script.js codes. So over here, search invoice ID like this, and I have given the r.xml HTTP request. Then I have given the value of the search text. Then I have sent it to the get into the invoice ID process, search invoice ID process plus 2 text, then true. Then I have given the document.get element by ID view area. So what is this view area? Now in our selling history page, you'll know that the part where the data comes. So this is the part where the data comes. So for this, I have given an ID called view area. So that is the simple part that we are going to do over here. Then when we go to the search invoice ID process, the PHP, it is a simple process, but you all can see the big codes because it has been copied and copied and copied. But what's the main objective of this? Yeah, so it's the main objective of this is that when you give product's ID, the product which has the same ID in the database will be given over here. So the queries are select all from invoice where the ID is equal to the $invoice ID, then the invoice now, and the invoice now 1, the $invoice data fetch as of. Then the same things what I have done in my previous selling history page. So I need to change the status if I want by clicking, by giving by typing a invoice ID. So I'll show you. So now over here y'all can see that I will Control Shift R this. Then in my first page y'all can see this, that this is to confirm order. So this is the sixth invoice. Then when I give 6, it will come. Then I can give until it shipping. Then after I give Control Shift R, this will be changed to shipping. That is that happens over here. Then if you don't have an invalid invoice ID, that is that for the search invoice. Then we need to talk about the from to the to date. So for this I have given 2 IDs as from to. Then we talked about this on click. Now let's go to the on click of it. Then fine selling, the same thing what I have done, but from to dot values. Then the view area, we know this. So we talked about this in this on click. Then the get method, fine selling, process.php, f as the from and to t as the to. Then after that in our fine sellings process, this happens as the is set $get f and is set $get t. Then $f as from and t as to. Then search select all from invoice, then invoice nums and the for loops, and like that I have given the invoice data and as the fetch as of then $sold date. So I will give an enter over here to the sold date as the invoice data date. Then $date explode the sold date from the this string. So what is this? This is that you divide that. That means you take and cut it to a half of strings to strings. So when you go and hold on top of it, it tells that it splits a string by a string. So when you go down, you all can see the whole story about it. If limit is set and positive, the return array will be content of a maximum of limit elements with the last element containing the rest of elements. I mean rest of strings. Then when you go down, y'all can read this when you go to the Visual Studio Code. So if you don't have, you can go and download Visual Studio Code and download XAMPP and go to a PHP and open folder it. Then you can type this explode and like something give like this. Then y'all can see the whole story of it. Then when you go and click on top of the link, you can go to the link and read the whole story about it. Now, then we go down, the $date 0 is assigned to the date and $date 1 is assigned to t. Then, what I have done is, if not empty from and empty to, the dollar from is smaller than or equals $d, then these should happen as the same thing what I have done in the selling history.php. Then if it happens to the else if of the empty dollar from and not empty to is the if $2 is greater than or equals to the $d, this should happen the same things. Then if it happens both are empty, then this should happen as $from is smaller than or equals to the $d and 2 is greater than or equals to the $d. Then this should happen. So this is it for the selling history part. So I hope you understood this process. So I'll be back with my tour video. So until that, Don't forget to watch it because it's the last day of this series. So have a nice day and bye.